Honor, we submitted the original signatures together with the manifestation for the opposition.
Out of the 6,200
Yes,
employees?
yes, that we have submitted 150. Yun nga, sir. The more are coming. I have messaged a while ago from the regions in Mindanao that
So,
signing the
Ma'am
opposition.
Francisco, just to clarify, this is only around 1% of the whole employee of PhilHealth. So, our representation ho na we're sinasabi niyo ho, we have disgruntled employees. So, I just want to clarify kung ito ba'y boses din na nakakarami in PhilHealth or is just representing only the 1% of PhilHealth? So, yung complaints niyo ho.
Your Honor, if you want it supported by signatures, I can bring it at a later time. I may not have it here right now, but the employees in Mindanao, in Visayas, they want to sign the manifestation for opposition. I can submit it later, Your Honor, if you want it backed by signatures.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if we will be allowed, we could ask for copies of that signature campaign from Visayas and Mindanao. But can you clarify, Ms. Francisco, on this number 2, section B, about the depriving of the 6,236 employees of their full salary without due process? Ano ba ito?
On August 2016 po, there was a board resolution in 2009. It was approved by the board of directors. This is the salary, there's SSL3. They approved the salary increase in 4 tranches in 4 years in 2009. So the first and second tranche were implemented, but it stopped in 2011 because of the creation of the GCG, the Governance Commission for GOCCs. So on March 8, 2017, there was a board resolution. On August 16, 2016, the third and fourth tranches were approved by the 2016 board led by Secretary Ubial, implementing the unimplemented third and fourth tranche. So dapat po itong third and fourth tranche for 2011 and 2012, which was implemented only last year. But on March 8, we were surprised because the board, again, the 2017 PhilHealth board, led by Secretary Ubial, signed another board resolution suspending the third and fourth tranches.
This is covered by the COA disallowance,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So it's natural that Secretary Ubial will follow the COA notice of disallowance.
But we were able to get the opinion of the OGCC, Office of the Government Corporate Council, that this is this positive portion of that opinion states that all considered, the PhilHealth Board may opt to continue the grant of the disallowed benefits pending the ND's appeal, provided that after its circumspect review of the matter, such benefits are reasonable, legally justified, and procedure for their grant has been properly observed. It further stated that thus PhilHealth retains the discretion to maintain status quo and continue to implement the disallowed benefits until the propriety of their grant has been finally determined. Yung ano po namin, sir, this was approved already in 2009, the 4 tranches, but which was stopped in 2010. Ang ano namin, sir, very arbitrary yung decision ng board kasi
But what you're referring to is just the opinion of the GOCC.
Yes, OGCC.
And not the OGCC and not the notice of disallowance that was, well, in short, kailangan hong obliged sumunod si Secretary Ubial sa Commission on Audit.
But this is we challenged nga it in court, sir, eh. Sa Supreme Court, yung mga benefits ng employees. Um, but be that as it may, dapat po may due process. Dapat din siguro nahanda din yung mga empleyado na hindi naman yung bigla-biglang itigil na lang. Kasi ano sir eh, yung ibig sabihin, ina-expect na po namin na tatanggapin namin yung sweldo na yan eh. Wala kang problema sa mga benefits and allowances, but this is basic salaries. Basic salaries po itong na-suspend. And then there's also rule on non-diminution of salaries. There should have been due process na naman lang, pin-repair yung mga employees or hindi naman bigla na ititigil din agad yung...
Mr. Francisco, with permission of Congressman Losos, Congressman Gatchalian, can you make the necessary submissions to the committee and the commission that will clarify this issue in the heart and mind of Congressman Gatchalian and Congressman Halosos? Can you please do that for us?
Excuse me, ano po?
Can you make the submissions that were requested by Congressman Gatchalian so that describing the chronology of events that will allow us to view this properly, objectively. Now, I just want to share this with you, no? That the process does not end here. Kaya kanina tinanong ko, Ms. Francisco, saan ang gagaling yung takot ninyo? No? Now, the Congress has an oversight function. Whatever the outcome of the confirmation hearings today, the process does not end. The budget, the hearings to clarify certain issues. And to us, the morale of the PhilHealth employees is important to the accomplishment of your mission. So having said that, can you do that as soon as possible?
Yes, Your Honor. We will do that, Your Honor.
Congressman Gatchalian.
That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
We will now go back to where we left off. Senator Soto has suspended his questions to give way to Senator Pacquiao and Congressman Nene Sato.
Mr. Chair, nobody asked anything about or asked Mr. Dineros, the first oppositor. Does that mean that we're taking everything he said?
What we will do, that being on record.
I don't know. It's not my turn. I'm suspended. I suspended my interpretation. I'll interpolate later. It's Senator Pacquiao who's on deck. I just wanted to know why there was no question on the first oppositor. All the questions were in the second oppositor. I just wanted to find out.
Mr. Chairman, for clarification only, it appearing from the letter of Dr. Dineros that he's not interposed any objection to the appointment of Secretary Ubial. It just is the contents of the letter is just clearing his name about regarding the action taken by Secretary Ubial with regard to his ouster as President and CEO of the PhilHealth.
Okay,
Mr.
the chair
Chairman.
takes note, Congressman Loyola, Senator Soto.
Perhaps that is the correct perspective. But what I noticed in the letter is that he's saying that Secretary Ubial lied again to the Commission. That is the point, I think. And then, of course, the health issue. Sabi nila, smoking is dangerous to your health. Eh, dito sa Commission, lying is dangerous to your confirmation.
Okay. Having raised that issue, Senator Soto, Congressman Loyola, what we will do now is we will ask the nominee. No. So put this to rest. To respond to the presentations of Dr. Dineros and Ms. Francisco.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor, Mr.
Madam
Chair.
Secretary, please.
And members
Before
of
we
the
proceed
commission.
with the questions to either the oppositors so that we can allow them to leave or to the nominee.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor,
Please proceed,
Mr.
Madam
Chair.
Secretary.
On the point raised by Dr. Dineros that he was ousted and did not resign, I have here the minutes of that executive session, Your Honor, there were 11 board members present, including me and Dr. Dineros. The 9 other board members are ready. I have 2 here. The 9 other board members who were present during that said executive session are ready to submit their statement of confirmation of what transpired during that particular executive board meeting. And we are ready to submit all the minutes, the audio documentation of that said board meeting, and the PBR, or PhilHealth Board resolution pertaining to the issues raised by Dr. Dineros, that I lied and told this body that he was not ousted, but he did not resign. Let me quote from the minutes of the meeting. Dr. Dorotan said that Dr. Dineros can still contribute a lot as he continues to be a board member, and moved for Dr. De La Serna to be the new OIC PCEO until the President has appointed a regular PCEO. And for the record, Dr. Dineros added that he would not disagree with everything that came through today as a process, but then there would be a question on how things should be done, but he will still be here as part of the board. Dr. Ubial proceeded with the proposal on the floor. I'm just quoting the pertinent statements in the minutes of that executive board meeting. Proposal on the floor, which was made by Dr. Dorotan, to actually withdraw the appointment of OIC PCEO Dr. Dineros and to elect Dr. De La Serna as new OIC PCEO. However, Dr. Dineros replied that just to free the board from the agony, as his colleagues expressed, losing their trust and confidence in him, he is now resigning as PCEO just to give the board all the allowance to choose. Again, next paragraph, Dr. Dineros averred twice. I asked him 3 times, are you sure, Dr. Dineros, you want to resign? So in the minutes, it's written, Dr. Dineros averred twice that he had already resigned, to which Dr. Ubial asked if the resignation is accepted by the board. Upon a motion duly seconded, the board accepted the resignation of Dr. Dineros. And we will submit to the members of the Commission on Appointments the PBR pertaining to the verbal resignation of Dr. Dineros and the appointment of Dr. De La Serna as PCEO, interim PCEO of PhilHealth on that particular executive board meeting on April 10, 2017. Now, on the other issues raised, there was a reference that I exercised abuse of authority. I was signing several documents that, as chairman of the board, I should not be signing, but it's the president and CEO. And actually, that is true. I signed all those documents, Your Honors, because the interim PCEO is an OIC and cannot sign documents that are policy determining and discretionary. Only day-to-day functions can be signed by an OIC president and CEO. And I would like to also point out to the members of the Commission on Appointments, the top 17 positions in PhilHealth when I came in were all OIC. For 2.5 years, there were no appointments in PhilHealth. So I had to carry the burden of all all the policy determining and discretionary documents in PhilHealth, I have to sign myself. And the board did
Madam
not.
Secretary, before
Yes, sir.
you say, why were these positions not filled? Did you check? I just wanted to.
Your Honor, we were not able to confer with the previous board of PhilHealth, but I think it was the Promotion Selections Board or the Nominations Committee of the PhilHealth Board that are supposed to appoint top or third level positions in the board, in the PhilHealth Corporation, did not meet. Actually, they did not meet. So there were no appointments in the last 2.5 years. And we're doing that now. The nominations committee is now meeting, and we're processing the submissions or applications from around 100 applicants for the top 17 positions in PhilHealth,
Madam
Your
Secretary, I
Honor.
asked that question because this seems to be a systemic problem. No? Under whatever administration this happened, we seem to be perpetually victims of a self-inflicted bureaucratic glitch that affects the efficiency of this very important sector, no?
Yes, sir.
The public health sector, with so much resources at its disposal. But anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest. Please
Yes,
proceed.
sir.
How many more minutes before you?
Yes, about 2 minutes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please proceed.
And we will submit all the pertinent documents, Your Honor, and my verified answer to the opposition of Dr. Dineros and to Ms. Francisco. Yes, Your Honor. The chair is not the PCEO. I was never president and CEO of PhilHealth, nor do I intend to be. At no time has this happened. Records will show that all efforts were made to avoid a situation where the chair and the PCEO would be one and the same person. The secretary illegally encroached on the powers of the PCEO is absolutely baseless. The board granted only OIC status to the interim PCEO, that was Dr. Dineros and now Dr. De La Serna. Hence, he or she is expected only to exercise day-to-day functions. The residual power to exercise discretionary beyond those given to OIC PCEO, such as power to appoint, was not granted to the interim PCEO and instead granted to the chair through a PhilHealth board resolution. The level of accountability of the OIC PCEO is low given the interim nature of the appointment. However, the PhilHealth operations may be hampered if the power remains with the board, who then meet only once a month. Hence, the board delegated such powers to the chair of the board, yours truly. And then the board materials are available to each board member. Minutes are approved, and the PhilHealth board resolutions are signed by them. We have the notation of Dr. Dineros that he had extreme difficulty in securing copies of the minutes and board resolutions from our corporate secretary is false. As a board member, he is given a copy of the minutes for approval. PBRs are routed to him for signature, and in fact, he signed or noted all PBRs except for the one where the board affirmed the appointment of interim PCEO De La Serna. And all other board members can attest to this process. The PhilHealth was not under the administrative control and supervision of the DOH. It has always been governed by its governing body, the board. This has never been put to question. The PBR establishing a third partly fact-finding body and the subsequent department order of the DOH only manifests the willingness of the DOH to assist PhilHealth in its hour of need to resolve an investigation of disallowances arising from irregular PBRs. And on the opposition by the employees of PhilHealth, I'm sorry to say to the members of the Commission on Appointments, it was really very difficult as chair of the PhilHealth Board for me to implement 13 disallowances. 13 disallowances by COA. So I know that all these benefits were already given to the employees, but they were disallowed by COA. Two were confirmed by the Supreme Court. But when we asked the GOCC their opinion whether the salary adjustment made on August 2016 was approved or confirmed by them, they came out with a decision in January to disapprove it. So we had a PhilHealth Board resolution by April to stop the provision of this salary adjustment based on SSL 3 and SSL 4. And that's where we are. It pains the board and it pains the chairman of the board to actually remove the compensation and allowances of all PhilHealth employees, but we have to follow the law, Your Honor. And as to not being transparent, as to having executive sessions, we did that to protect also the information coming from the board, but we have a communication plan. We communicated to the authorized representative of the employees of PhilHealth, that is Mrs. Esperanza Ocampo, with the PhilHealth Employees Association, Your Honor. And we hope that we will be submitting all the required documents to clear this matter up with the Commission on Appointments. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. At this point, the Chair would like to ask the members if there are any questions for the oppositors so that we can excuse them. But before that, the Chair would like to recognize the presence of Senator Subiri. So I go back to the previous question. Do we have any questions to the oppositors? Okay, then Senator Pacquiao is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. To Dr. Dineros. Just one for clarification. Did you say that may nakita kang irregularities doon sa pagpapatakbo ng PhilHealth managed by DOH Secretary Ubial?
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for the question, Mr. Senator Pacquiao. Yes po, marami po akong nakita irregularities. That's why we need to do something about it.
Pwede mo bang yung mga hindi pa nasabi dito, yung mga irregularities doon sa PhilHealth, pwede mo bang sabihin dito?
Para po sa kaalaman ng lahat, lahat po ng mga policies ng organization ginagawa po ng board level, sa board po yun. Then after sa board, ini-implement po yun sa management. Lahat po ng pinag-uusapan sa board ay dumadaan sa isang proseso. And incidentally, we had problems with PhilHealth in as far as its situation is concerned. Yung kanyang pag-deliver ng services, benefits, etc. Yung aming financial positions, etc. That's why we're there to discuss about all these things. Unti-unti po nakikita yung mga problema, and so ginagawan po ng paraan yon. And again, based on policies, kagaya lang po nitong unang present ko kasi nag-focus lang po ako dun sa situation ko as elected PCEO at that time. Meron pong demarcation ng duties and responsibilities between chairperson and CEO. And hindi po kasi nasusunod yon. And then yung pag-craft po ng aming resolutions ay hindi po naayos. In fact, kagaya ng nasabi ko, may mga kailangan kunin, hindi nakukuha. Meron din kailangan marinig, hindi rin naririnig. Ito po yung mga irregularities and hindi po makakagawa ng conclusion right away, but we have to investigate further. So maraming salamat po, Mr. Senator. Mr. Chairman.
One of the reason you resign, that you say that Secretary Ubial is asserting her personal agenda. It is correct.
For the record, Mr. Chairman and Senator Pacquiao, hindi po ako nag-resign voluntarily. I was involuntarily ousted para po itong sitwasyon. Kung ay hindi po ako nag-disagree doon sa mga sinabi ni Secretary Ubial sa kanyang statements, but then yung mga statements na yon ay nasa dulo na po yun sa kabuuhan ng meeting namin na more than an hour. So kung para po itong boxing, maraming jabs ba until finally yung final blow. And again, I would like to state the fact na hindi po ito voluntary resignation. I was involuntarily ousted.
Thank you, Mr. Dineros. To Secretary Ubial. Good morning, Secretary.
Good morning, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
I'm sure medyo nagulat ka doon sa iniwanan kong questions last
Yes, Your Honor.
hearing natin.
Yes, Your Honor. We are from the same region, Your Honor.
Yes.
Region 12.
Of course, it's an honor for us to have you in manage the DOH, diba? Kasi magkababayan. I just want clarification, Madam Secretary. Yung tanong ko sa inyo na iniwanan ko, na sabi ko, may kilala ba kayong anak? May anak ba kayong Carl? Okay. And then, next question ko is, kung suportado ka ba 100% ng pamilya mo? Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sure hindi mo naman sila control, no? Pero sometimes kasi mga tao nakatutok palagi kung sino yung mga opisyalis ng gobyerno. Talagang bawat salita, bawat comment mo na nababasa ng mga tao. And then hindi mo naman siguro kontrol kasi busy ka masyado, pero siyempre pangit naman na ikaw nandyan sa DOH, secretary, and then yung pamilya mo mag-comment ng bad against the administration o masama, pangit naman. Especially sa amin, mga senators. And then clarification kasi, especially yung si Carl nag-comment siya doon sa I just want clarification for this because hindi kasi maintindihan ng tao kasi nag-file ako ng bill na nag-file ako ng bill ng Bible holiday, and then nag-file din ako ng death penalty. So parang kung titingnan mo, if you don't have complete knowledge, you will not understand. Nag-file ako ng death penalty and then nag-file ako ng Bible holiday. It's kind of a contradict, but it's explainable, Madam Secretary, na yung pag-file ko, I just want to explain myself, Mr. Chairman. Yung talking about Bible holidays is I filed Bible holiday and then I filed death penalty. Death penalty is not about individual. Death penalty is about the government, the authority. So, of course, I agree that God is do not kill, thou shall not kill. I believe that thou shall not kill. But we are talking about the authority government. So, the Bible says the God is giving the authority, giving the authority to impose capital punishment. Those people na hindi talaga makinig.
Yes, Your Honor. I discussed the matter with my son. He was taken out of context, Your Honor, and my son is willing to make a public apology on that matter, Your Honor.
Senator Pacquiao, before we continue, with the permission of the members of the committee, unless there are questions for the oppositor, we would like to have your permission to excuse them already. Any other?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Congressman.
maybe not a question, but I'd just like to know the little information that I have. Coming
Congressman
in-
Ocampo,
yes.
before you proceed, I interrupted Senator Pacquiao to raise that issue. May I ask your indulgence if we can resolve that issue first? Would there be any questions for the oppositors, basically? About the PhilHealth. Okay, so we proceed with the questions of Senator Pacquiao, and then we give you the opportunity to ask the oppositors. Senator Pacquiao, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Siguro pagsabihan na lang natin si Carl na hindi na mag-comment kasi pangit naman na you're doing your job the government sa DOH, and then may mga comment na masama doon sa ibang leader ng bansa, and then especially sa administration, pangit naman.
Yes, Your Honor. I have discussed this with my son, and he is very sorry and is willing to make a public apology.
Senator
on
Pacquiao,
this.
Madam
Thank you.
Secretary, can we read the oath of Carl? Ay, pwede pala laki yan. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. Senator Pacquiao, please proceed.
Yan po yung gusto kong i-explain. Yung in-explain ko kanina, Mr. Chairman, na nag-comment yung anak niya na yung about sa death penalty and about sa Bible holiday. So, yun po nga in-explain ko nakalagay dyan. At yun nga, na ang mga tao kasi hindi maintindihan kung if you don't know the Bible, you will not understand it. But to impose death penalty, hindi tayo individually nag-impose ng death penalty, kundi ang government, which is the government is established by God and instituted by God. So whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. So meaning, iba po yung mahaba pong explanation, but we are focusing on your confirmation and today. So it's a long explanation about that. So ang tanong ko pa po ay your leadership is a question, and DOH may mga naano tayong complaint from the staff of DOH, galing doon sa DOH mismo, yung mga staff ninyo complaining that there is no clear sense of direction for DOH. What can you say about that?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I do my best. We have formulated the Philippine Health Agenda, but I know that I cannot please everyone. There will still be opposing and dissenting opinions within the Department of Health, within PhilHealth, and other organizations. But let me show you the track record. In the past year that I was in office, we have launched a number of programs, and we have made sure that there was no outbreak. In the conflict in Marawi, there were no outbreaks. In the earthquake in Surigao, we made sure that even if our hospital was destroyed, patients were taken care of even in private hospitals using government funds. So a lot of things have been done out of the box, and also providing our people, especially the poor, with quality health services. And that has been my goal and my advocacy since the start of my career in the Department of Health 29 years ago. We have submitted also to the members of the Commission on Appointments the performance of the DOH in the last 365 days. This performance, Your Honor, speaks for itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Ubial. Ano po ang plano ninyo dito sa pagdating sa PhilHealth? Yung plano niyo in 2 years, 3 years from now, ano pa yung mga plano ninyo? Gusto ko malaman.
Yes, Your Honor. We have just crafted the strategic plan for PhilHealth for the next 5 years, so 2017 to 2022. And we'll be willing to submit that to the members of the Commission on Appointments. But basically, it's a very long document, but basically, we want financial stability, improve the collection efficiency of PhilHealth, and improve the turnaround time in which we pay for the claims and benefits of our members, and expand membership to 100% of Filipinos. So we're doing that this year through the point of service and point of care enrollment for those without PhilHealth. And hopefully, if a bigger budget is provided to PhilHealth in terms of premium payments, we can provide additional benefits such as the check-up package or the out-of-patient benefit package for all Filipinos in the coming years, Your Honor.
Do you have a data kung ilang percent na yung nabigyan ng PhilHealth sa bansa natin?
Yes,
O-
Your Honor.
At saka ilan pa yung kailangan bigyan?
Yes, Your Honor. Based on our records in December 2016, we have covered 92% of the Philippine population that are now enrolled into PhilHealth. The 8% of the population not yet enrolled in PhilHealth will be covered this year through the point of service and the point of care strategy of PhilHealth, meaning that if a person without health insurance goes to the hospital, they will be enrolled and they will be covered by PhilHealth, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Did you still consider about yung yung emergency PhilHealth? Pag walang ka PhilHealth, pwede kang kumuha yung tinatawag nating emergency PhilHealth.
Yes, Your Honor, that is precisely the point of service. Wala po silang PhilHealth, they go to the hospital, they need hospitalization, PhilHealth will pay for them. Wala
Yeah.
po silang PhilHealth card.
Thank
But
you.
after they leave the hospital, they will now be enrolled in PhilHealth. That's the strategy, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Sa ating, thank you, Madam Secretary. Sa ating mga senior citizen po, kasi magulang ko senior citizen na eh. Dad, Mami D, si Papa ko. Anong plano niyo po sa ating mga senior citizen?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chair, PhilHealth law to cover 100% or all senior citizens in this country with automatic enrollment was passed in 2014. And they are now covered using the GAA provision in 2016. 2017 and 2018. Unfortunately, when the law was passed in 2014 and 2015, we considered the enrollment of the senior citizens as a benefit that is already provided, but national government did not allocate the funds to enroll them. So PhilHealth is now requesting DBM to pay for the arrears in PhilHealth enrollment for senior citizens for 2014 and 2015 to the tune of around 22 billion pesos, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. But go back to your son, Carl. Okay lang yung mga sa akin. Hindi man ako hindi ako nagtatanim ng galit sa kanya o hindi ako galit. Okay lang yan. Pero gusto ko lang itanong, what can you say about the comment ni Carl doon sa against Senator Soto?
I'm sorry. Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. When my son posted that, we told him to remove it. He did not, and I'm really, really sorry that sometimes we talk to our children and they do not follow their parents. But I'm sure that my son will not want to jeopardize my confirmation, and he is ready to issue a public apology, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Am I right that your son, Carl, is consultant? He's a consultant?
No, Your Honor. He is, we wanted to sign a contract of services for a 1 peso consultant for him in the DOH, but it was never signed. I checked our record. It was never signed, Your Honor.
So he's not your consultant? Just your son? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Senator
Thank you,
Pacquiao.
Mr. Chairman.
May we recognize the Honorable Congresswoman Nena Esato for her questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you were asking if any one of us has questions to the oppositors. I think there will be no questions for the oppositors, so they may be excused, if you will.
Ma'am, I understand the Honorable Ocampo has some issues to raise with the oppositors.
I have 3 sets of questions here. Madam Secretary, I am inclined to vote for your confirmation, but there are a lot of issues that are left hanging, and there are a lot of new issues which are beclouding the issues in my mind. First, on the issue of PhilHealth, isn't it a fact that Section 19 of the implementing rules and regulations of RA 7975, or the National Health Insurance Act of 2013, provides that the President and CEO of PhilHealth shall be appointed by the President of the Philippines upon recommendation of the board. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
And I saw from our researches that since the time you assumed the presidency, or the post of Secretary of Health, and assumed the chair of the board of PhilHealth, there already was 3 presidents appointed. Is that
Yes,
correct?
Yes, Your Honor. They were appointed on an interim President and CEO capacity, Your Honor, Mr.
So
Chair.
why are you appointing interim or OIC president except why not pass a resolution recommending these people or this particular person to the president to be appointed as full-fledged president of the corporation?
Yes, Your Honor. Because in the previous President and CEO, acting President and CEO, Buddy Aristosa, he was appointed by the board as interim or acting, and we were awaiting the appointment of the president, of a president and CEO. He was actually the COO. So he was the default PCEO because of his seniority in the position of PhilHealth. So he was next in rank. So therefore, he was appointed acting president and CEO. And during that time, the president of the Philippines did not appoint any president and CEO for that position, Your Honor.
Madam
Mr. Chair.
Secretary, the law is very clear that the president will only appoint president of the PhilHealth upon recommendation of the board. Did you or did the board recommend to the president the appointment of a full-fledged president?
The board recommended to the president, dated
Commended who?
June 9, 2017, Dr. De La Serna as for president and CEO of the PhilHealth, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So, what was the action? Was he appointed or was he rejected?
There is no appointment papers, Your Honor, submitted to PhilHealth as of this time, Your Honor, Mr.
So,
Chair.
when the president did not act on your recommendation, you appointed another OIC, is that correct?
The idea is that there were certain actions by the interim PCEO that the board resolved there was lack of trust and confidence, so that we elected another acting PCEO, interim PCEO, Your Honor.
When you
Mr.
lost
Chair.
trust and confidence on this acting president of the corporation, which you, the board, recommended to the president for appointment, did you recall your recommendation?
No, Your Honor. The first two interim PCEO, we did not recommend to the president, Your Honor.
I am asking you these questions because I am just concerned, being a lawyer and being a lawmaker, that if the board appoints successive OIC presidents, aren't you being disrespectful to the powers of the president? Because, this is a prerogative or a power vested by law upon the president, and I don't want any power vested upon the president to be circumvented by a board who should be under the power of the president. I don't want any diminution of powers granted to any particular officer of the country.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chair, according to the rules of procedure, the board can elect among themselves an interim president and CEO if the president of the Philippines have not appointed such to the position. And because of lack of trust and confidence in the two previous interim president and CEO, the board had to elect among themselves a new interim president and CEO. That is the rules of procedure, Your Honor.
yeah.
We were awaiting for
where
the
is that rules
president
of
to
procedure?
appoint.
I have not seen that because I've read the IRR, I've read the law, and I have not seen that
We-
rules of procedure
We
that
will
you're
submit,
referring
Your
to.
Honor. It's
What
from
is that? A
the
rules of procedure of the board?
Corporate Governance Council, Your
Oh, no,
Honor.
but that is a general law. This is a specific law. And the general law cannot amend or supplement or even supersede. Thank you very much. Cannot supersede a law, a specific law. So you cannot, I believe, give that as a justification because it is very clear under your IRR and under the law which creates your organization that it is the sole authority of the president to appoint the president of the corporation upon the recommendation of the board. And I don't want an anomalous situation wherein the board will circumvent or cause the diminution of the power of the president by appointing successive OIC presidents.
Yes, Your Honor, we recognize that procedure, but it was unusual circumstance, Your Honor, that we cannot recommend to the President, the sitting acting President and CEO, because of certain activities that happened that made us lose trust and confidence in the sitting
I don't,
interim
Madam
President and CEO.
Madam President, Madam
Yes, ma'am.
Secretary, I don't think you are getting my point very well. Why do you appoint an OIC who you think and you say you do not have full trust and confidence? An OIC president should have all the qualifications of a regular president. You cannot abrogate it upon yourself to appoint successive OIC presidents because that is a diminution and a disrespect
Yes, Your
of the
Honor.
power of the president.
I think we have to submit the chronology of events, Your Honor, so that the Commission on Appointments will understand what happened in the case of the PhilHealth President and CEO, Your Honor.
I don't think a chronology of events
There was
would
basis.
answer and assuage the fear of this representation as to the anomalous practice that you are doing right now at the PhilHealth. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, there are repeated accusations and allegations of usurpation of functions. Again, as I've said, I am a lawyer and I am a lawmaker, and I would like to protect and safeguard the law because I believe that if there is no rule of law in this government or in any government or any society for that matter, then there will be no development. There will be no peace and order. So, Madam Secretary, what are the functions of a PhilHealth board chair? Can you please enlighten this representation?
Yes, Your Honor. The PhilHealth Board Chair actually presides over board meetings and discusses the policies of the corporation and approves policies of the corporation, Your Honor.
Approve. Can the chair approves or the board approves?
Your Honor, as the chair of the board, the Secretary of Health, together with all the board members, approve the policy of the board, Your Honor.
Yes, because the chair only presides. It does not decide. Okay? So the chairman of the board basically schedules meetings, decide on the agenda, calls meetings, through the corporate secretary, presides, acts as chair of the executive committee, exercise control over quality, quantity, and timeliness of the flow of information between the board and the management. Take the lead in ensuring compliance with PhilHealth's guidelines on corporate governance. So you are just a conduit between the board and the management. When you say management, who heads the management of the corporation?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, it's the President and CEO of the corporation that heads management, Your Honor.
Okay. So as president of the board, of the corporation, would you know the functions of the president of the corporation?
Your Honor, the President and CEO of the corporation ensures that all the policies issued by the board is implemented by the corporation.
So the
Your Honor.
policies are decided on by the board, and the implementation and the execution of all the policies passed by the board should be implemented by the president, right? So when you order reassignment of personnel from one office to another, is that policy determining, or is that a management issue?
Your Honor, if it involves moving personnel, like one or two personnel, then that would be something I believe that is management prerogative. But if you're moving 43 senior position personnel in the corporation, I believe that will affect the whole activities of the corporation, and that is discretionary and policy determining, Your Honor.
Okay, so if it's one or two, how about if you are transferring four? Is that a management action or a corporate board action or a policy determining action?
Yes, Your Honor.
Which is
in
yes.
that case, Your Honor, if there are more personnel being transferred, then we
No,
get
I'm asking you if
board
you
approval.
say that if it's one or two,
That's
then it's
policy.
management. I'm asking you, what if you are transferring five? Or
that
four,
is-
four.
Yes,
If
Your
you're
Honor.
transferring four, is it management or board action?
Then we subject it to board decision, Your Honor.
So it is not a management
Yes,
action?
Your Honor.
What's the difference between two and four?
Your Honor, if our interim president and CEO were regular plantilla position, he was appointed to that position, then he can do movement of personnel. But our PCEO is OIC and interim.
That's exactly my point, Madam Secretary. That for how many, for almost a year or more than a year, it's a succession of OIC. So that gives you that questionable or even anomalous right to perform the duties and functions of the president of the corporation. That's exactly my point. And you are, by your answers, you are proving my point. When you limit the designation as officer in charge and forwarding matters requiring discretion, is that management or policy? When you issue advisory of notice of vacancies, is that a management or a board action or policy determining? When you issue a memorandum or amended advisory, again, with respect to vacancies, is it management or corporate action? When you reassign officers and personnel from one office to another, is that management or corporate action, Madam Secretary? Because I want you, I'm asking these questions to you, Madam Secretary, because I would want you to dispel and disprove their allegations that you have usurped the functions of the President.
Yes, Your Honor. And accordingly, Your Honor, the PhilHealth Board has provided the chairperson through a board resolution the residual power to exercise discretion beyond those given to the OICP CEO, such as power to appoint and also the power to so that the PhilHealth operations will not be hampered. And
so you're telling me,
the board
can I
passed the
cut you short,
resolution.
Madam
Yes, Your Honor.
Secretary, because I don't want you to continue that line of answer because that will put you in a deeper hole. So you are telling me now that the board has the authority to give you the powers of the president of the corporation. Because I'm telling you, I've read the law, I've read the IRR, and I did not see, or I have not seen any provision that gives you the authority to appropriate for yourself the functions of the president of the corporation. Moving on to my next question. I don't want to delve on the question of Ms. Francisco with respect to the salad or the salary adjustment because I think the chairman has instructed you or requested you to submit your justifications or your grounds for on this issue. So I will not delve on that because I don't want to preempt your report on that matter. Madam Secretary, we are about to approve and adopt the universal health coverage, and which is very good for our people. But do you know anything about this universal health coverage, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Your Honor. I have been discussing it with Congresswoman Helen Tan, Your Honor.
So,
Sir Chair.
what are the salient features of the universal health coverage?
Yes, Your Honor. The bottom line for the law is to actually provide quality health services to all Filipinos regardless of capacity to pay, Your Honor.
And what role will the PhilHealth play in the universal health coverage?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, that would be PhilHealth is the main payer for health services in this country, Your Honor.
So the PhilHealth will play a very important and critical role in the implementation of the universal health coverage, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So if the PhilHealth will play a very crucial role in the success of the centerpiece legislation of this administration, then we have to assure that PhilHealth is run efficiently. Don't you say so?
Yes, Your
Madam
Honor.
Secretary?
They have a critical role in universal health coverage,
And
Your
we
Honor.
have to assure and ensure that the PhilHealth should be run efficiently by capable and competent people.
Yes, Your Honor.
That
Any government agency should in fact be run by capable and competent
Let's
people.
not include the other government agencies because they are not in issue here. Okay? Now, I have also researched. I do my homework, Madam Secretary. I have researched on the comparative statement of income of PhilHealth. And I am very shocked to see that you are operating on a net loss. Can you confirm or deny that, Madam Secretary?
No, Your Honor. The PhilHealth statement of accounts in 2016 shows a 63 million positive collection, Your Honor.
Yes, I know. I also have a statement of your income. You are registering a positive income because you included the 13 point something billion contributions from senior citizens, which have not been or has not been collected for several years now. So you are reporting this as an income, I'm not an accountant. Lawyers are very poor in figures. So I'm looking up to you, Madam Secretary. If this receivable should be properly included as your income.
These are considered, Your Honor, arrears and collectibles from national
But if
government.
you have not been able to collect it for several years, are you still, I don't know, can somebody please enlighten me if this has to be? Yeah, the Honorable Bambol Tolentino said it's either cash on hand or cash in the bank. Oh. Yeah, wait, I just want to know because the president, the secretary is the chairman of the board and acting president of the corporation.
Yes, Your Honor, we are actively pursuing the collection of these arrears from national government, and we have been discussing with the Department of Budget and Management because it is true that these are premium payments for senior citizen. However, the payouts for senior citizen, the premium payments is about 10.6 billion for 1 year, but the payouts is 17 billion, Your Honor. So it is really a big, shall we say, dent to PhilHealth if these arrears are not paid up for by
No, my
national
question,
government.
Madam Secretary, is it right to include this in your income, in your statement of income? Because if you deduct this, then you're operating on a loss. And I am very much concerned. If you are operating in a loss for several years, for 2 years now, then where do you get the money for the day-to-day operations? And according to my research, then you are dipping your fingers into the reserve, which is not and should not be done.
Yes, Your Honor. This is accounting and financing principle that if such funds are collectibles by the corporation, then it is included in the income statement of the corporation, Your Honor.
I'm being briefed by Honorable Cortuna, who is a very good accountant, saying that it should not be included as... Ikaw na yun.
It's like this, receivables cannot be included as an income, but a fund generation. So, first, you have to age the receivables. So, may aging yun, then that will be part, whatever you collected, that's part of your funds generation. It seems that there is an understatement or overstatement of your income because receivables cannot be included as an income, Mr. Jim.
Okay, Madam, thank you very much, Accountant Juliet Cortuna. Oh, it's a CPA. Okay, so so if you don't have the records right now, Madam Secretary, then I would like to request for a detailed financial statement of the PhilHealth, because I'm asking all these questions because, as you said, PhilHealth will play a very crucial role in the implementation of the universal health universal health law. And if PhilHealth is not run correctly or competently, and if PhilHealth is in the red and is now operating on the reserve funds, then we have so much to worry about. Okay, so that's PhilHealth. I would like to, Madam Secretary, may I still continue with my
Please
question?
proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us put a closure on this dengue issue. Because the dengue was, we know that from 2014, we had 121,580 dengue cases. 2015, 200,000. 2016, 211. 2017 up to September, 76,000. Deaths, 465 in 2014. 2015, 598. 2016, 1,000. And for this year, up to September is 413. Why did you stop the administration of vaccines, of dengue vaccines? Because a lot of my colleagues in Congress have really, there was an uproar when you stopped
Your Honor.
the implementation of the dengue vaccination.
Your Honor, I would like to clarify with this committee that we did not stop dengue vaccination. It's on pilot implementation in Region 3, 4A, and NCR, and it's on expanded implementation in Region 7. And it's ongoing. The pilot will end by June 2018, Your Honor. Madam Chair.
Madam Secretary, Madam Chair, Mr. Chairman, why, I don't know, if you're saying that there was never an instance when you ordered the suspension of the administration, because in one of the readings I made in your actions, you called for a board or a group of experts.
Expert panel meeting. Yes,
The
Your
first
Honor.
group of experts. What was the recommendation of the first group of experts?
Your Honor, the first expert panel, which was convened July 2016, recommended that we do not expand the implementation to other areas, but continue to implement the dengue vaccination among the children that already received the first dose in Region 3, NCR, and 4A, and to continue implementation of the program until all children who received the first dose will complete the 3 doses as recommended for this vaccine, Your Honor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Secretary, that on July 21, 2016, Secretary Ubial, in consultation with the dengue expert panel number 1, issued a stop on the implementation of the first dose of vaccines that is contained in dengue expert panel resolution number 1 series of 2016. Is that correct or not?
Your Honor, as explained, we did not stop the implementation of the dengue vaccine, but the recommendation of the expert panel was to continue vaccinating only those that received the first dose to complete 3 doses of the vaccine, as it is being the way to administer it is being recommended, Your Honor. Madam
Why
Chair.
is it, Madam Secretary, that in a matter of less than 3 months, or specifically on October 3, 2016, you called for another panel of experts. That is the panel of experts number 2. Why?
Your Honor, if you might recall in the budget hearing during that period before the second expert panel, there was a request from Honorable Gwen Garcia of Cebu to actually convene a second expert panel for a second opinion. That is why that second expert panel was convened, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
I was interviewing people who asked you or requested you to convene a second panel of experts. They told me that they requested for a second panel because the first panel was composed of doctors, though they are well-known and, good, excellent doctors. Their expertise were not on infectious diseases or on vaccines. So they said that they requested you to call for a second panel because those doctors, which were included in the first panel, though very good and excellent doctors, were not experts on infectious diseases. And the second panel was, admittedly, was composed of experts on infectious diseases. And this group issued a resolution or a recommendation, which is, I think, if you ask me, are opposite of the recommendation. I don't know, for a lack of a better term, because they said, under resolution number 2, to expand the dengue school-based immunization program, to conduct catch-up immunization for missed pupils in Region 3, 4A, and NCR, and to strengthen the advocacy and communication, effectively inform the public of the importance of the vaccine. So, and this, the first one said not to expand the implementation anymore. The second one is to expand. This created, and I've been interviewing a lot of people, Madam Secretary.
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
And this brought about a confusion on the public, especially the parents, as to what
Yes,
is
Your
this
Honor.
all about.
Yes, Your
Wait, I don't. You
Yes,
don't have
Your
any
Honor.
question yet.
Okay.
So that when you again ordered implementation as scheduled, the number of people who lined up for the vaccination was much, much lower than the first batch immunized under the program. Is that correct, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Your Honor. We actually got about 60% coverage in the first batch, and we got less than 50% coverage in the second batch of immunization. May I add, Your Honor, that people get their information from the internet, and there's a lot of information on the internet that actually saw fear in our population that the dengue vaccine that is currently being
Again,
used.
Madam Secretary, may I cut you short?
Yes,
Because
po.
again, that will not put you in a good light. Because if you're telling me that people believe or the internet or the social media is more active than the information campaign of our department, then that does not speak well of us. So what happens now? There are, I think, more than 500 or vaccines which are now in your storage and about to expire on August 2018. Is that correct?
Your Honor,
So what will
it's
happen to
about to
this
expire.
to these 500 plus vaccines that will expire in August of 2018. And because Madam's Secretary, I was from my researches, the dengue vaccination is on 3 doses. So and with a span of or a interval of 6 months in between the 3 doses. Is that correct?
Yes,
So
Your Honor.
So what will happen to the 500 or so vaccines which are just there lying and about to expire, and this will cost the government a lot of money.
Your Honor, that is true. As of August 9, 2017, we have 590,000 doses still at hand. And we have started implementing the expansion in Cebu Province, in Caloocan City, in Makati, in Manila, and Quezon City, and with an assumption of 50% coverage of the eligible population, we will be able to immunize 590,000 children with 3 doses by August 2018, the expiry date of this particular vaccine, Your Honor. Mr. Chair.
Yeah. And I want to go very technical on this. I specifically put it down because when I interviewed doctors, ito medyo technical kaya babasahin ko to. Considering the delays in the implementation of the dengue vaccination, can we still attain the critical threshold on the number of population vaccinated in order to produce herd immunity? Can you explain that for the purpose or for the education of everybody in the commission? That how can you attain a critical threshold on the number of population vaccinated in order to produce herd immunity? Ano po bang ibig sabihin nito? Kasi akala ko yung herd yun sa mga
Kalabaw.
baka.
Yes,
yun
Your
po.
Honor.
So ano po ito?
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, the dengue vaccine is one vaccine where you do not attain herd immunity. What the dengue vaccine confers is individual immunity. What herd immunity means is like the measles vaccine. If you immunize 85% of the population of children, even the 15% that you did not immunize will be protected because it will stop the transmission of the virus. But for dengue vaccine, there's no such thing as herd immunity because the virus is not transmitted person to person. It's transmitted through a vector, the mosquito. So the dengue vaccine confers only individual immunity, and there is no herd immunity to speak of with the dengue vaccine. Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay. That is your opinion, Madam Secretary. But I have opinions of 3 doctors who are expert in infectious diseases, which tells me that the critical threshold on the number of population should produce herd immunity, and this applies to dengue vaccine. So it's your word against them. So I'm just telling you that these 3 infectious diseases experts tell me that there is such thing as herd immunity in dengue. So mahaba pa. Sige, bawasin ko na lang. Ito na lang, huli na lang. Sorry po. Madam Secretary, ay, dami kong ano dito eh. Is it correct that you issued an administrative order number 2016 0041? Did you issue that, Madam Secretary?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I don't know the particulars of that issuance. Your Honor.
So I will inform you that DOH Administrative Order number 0041, series of 2016, sets an overall policy directions, and identifies the roles and functions of DOH, its officers and partner agencies in the provision of quality post-abortion care in hospitals and all health facilities. I'm trying to look for a copy of that because I have a copy of that. I read it.
Yes, Your Honor, I
just have
issued
a
that
lot of
policy.
documents here that I cannot find it anymore.
Yes, Your Honor, I issued that policy. Now that you stated the subject matter, Your
Eh,
Honor.
importante po to, dapat alam niyo yung mga numero na yan. Yeah. So, in Section 2, Section 5, Item 2, treatment of all complications from spontaneous and induced abortion, which is being questioned by midwives and nurses. Because it states here in that section that you are allowing the specific provision, doctors, nurses, and midwives, trained and certified to provide PMAC. What is PMAC?
Your Honor, that is post-abortion management and care, Your Honor.
Services are allowed to perform some level of post-abortion care, including vacuum aspiration and manual vacuum aspiration for uncomplicated trimester spontaneous abortion. So, the nurses and the midwives themselves have approached you and have approached us because they said that the vacuum aspiration, whether it is manual or otherwise, is beyond their competency. And it is also my fear, Madam Secretary, being a former local chief executives, yung pong kondisyon sa probinsya, pag pinabayaan mo po yung midwife at yung nurse na mag-perform ng ganito, eh baka sila yung puntahan ng mga tao na gustong magpa-abort. And they themselves have appealed to you to please repeal and remove this. But you told them, I don't know if, I will not tell you who told me, your answer was, saka na lang pag na-confirm na ako. But in the meantime, Madam Secretary, marami nang nag-a-aspirate doon sa mga baryo at probinsya. Paano to?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to say that we don't make arbitrary decision in the Department of Health, and I never said that we will change the policy based on my confirmation or not, Your Honor. We make decisions based on evidence. And there are 400,000 abortion deaths in this country, not only induced abortion, but also spontaneous abortions. And there are a lot of areas in this country where there are no doctors to perform dilatation and curettage. There are no obstetricians in some areas. And the manual vacuum aspiration technology has been introduced in other countries. It's life-saving to complete and to treat complicated or incomplete abortions of women, whether it's induced or whether it's spontaneous abortion. 400,000 deaths a year in this country, Your Honor.
I recognize that, Madam Secretary, and I would like to consider that. It's just that if the objection or the appeal comes from the very persons you are authorizing to perform a particular act and saying that it is beyond their competency to do this, then it also puts a question to the safety of the people that you are saying you want to protect.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's my only concern. I
Yeah.
cannot argue with you on this.
Yes, Your
Because
Honor.
you are a doctor, I am a lawyer. This is within your expertise. My only concern is that I've heard a group or the official organization of midwives and nurses that this particular power or responsibility you are imposing upon them are beyond their competency. So I would like to appeal to you to consider this, because I know, I appreciate that you are taking care, or you are concerned of the 400,000 people who are, who suffer abortion, whether induced or whatever. But, we also have to protect them from people who they say that we cannot do that. See? So, okay, so that's, I still have questions, but
Yes, Your Honor.
I would
Mr. Chair.
rest my questioning now, and thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Can I respond to the last item, Your
Please,
Honor?
Madam
Yes.
Secretary.
Yes, Your Honor, Madam Chair. This policy has already been amended, but what is in that policy is that only those who were trained and are capable of providing the services will be allowed to use it, and not any nurse or midwife. So there's a corresponding training, and there's a corresponding monitoring and evaluation of this strategy. And it has been amended. We do not impose on health providers if they feel that it is beyond their conscience and their religious beliefs to administer life-saving interventions, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. May the Chair recognize the Honorable Sandy Ocampo for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the most commendable programs of this administration,
Congresswoman Ocampo, before
Mr.
you
Chairman.
continue, belatedly, please allow the Chair to recognize the presence of Senator Lacson and Congressman Almario. Please proceed, ma'am.
One of the most commendable programs of President Duterte is his support for health. It's all over. The fact that once you reach 60, you're automatically a PhilHealth member. This is something even America cannot even give its constituents. The kind of benefits that we give our senior citizens. It's quite a fact that coming into this new administration, we ended up hearing about the corporation being run in the red. And the explanation of the nominee for this position of Secretary of Health is that the contributions of LGUs are about 3 billion and the payout is at 17 billion. I can believe that. Because people, when they get sick, seriously sick, as members of Congress, our constituents, they always come to us because they can't afford to pay their bills. And PhilHealth can only answer a certain amount, and even the reduced amount, they can't even find the money to pay for that. And therefore, judging from how this administration has been conducting itself, it's possible that there was a need to come in with a sharp knife and incisively take out the root or some problems or tumors that is besetting this organization. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, after reading the minutes of the board of the PhilHealth, we have to give the Secretary of Health some leeway and a benefit of the doubt in the decisions that were taken in replacing the president, who stands as a, is he an oppositor or not? I am not sure. Is he an oppositor? Are you an oppositor today?
Please respond, Dr. Dineros.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much, and thank you, Congresswoman. I'm here today just to refute the lies of Secretary Ubial that I resigned instead of
Okay,
being
thank
involuntarily
you.
ousted.
So you're not here as an imposter, but just to clarify the position stated by Secretary Ubial. Okay, and that's clear. And regarding the not giving all the benefits to the employees, if COA comes out with an opinion that illegal or not acceptable within COA standards ang mga binigay na benepisyo, that's fine with me too, because we also know that a lot of government corporations were excessive in spending money or giving benefits to their employees. But I'm not here to defend Secretary Ubial. I just thought that after what has been written, what has been said, PhilHealth truly plays an important role in answering the cost of medical care for our constituents. So we should support, I think, well, not support Secretary Ubial on this, but just saying that there was a problem, still there are still problems in PhilHealth, and the position taken by the Secretary was an incisive knife to cut out the problem about the PhilHealth. Now, regarding the dengue, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that if there are 3 other experts that says otherwise on the position taken by the DOH Secretary, then they should come in front of us and tell us themselves. Be identified, and then let the doctors argue among themselves. And this is not in disrespect to my dear friend, who I admire, who I support in many instances, but just on a matter of fairness. And she enjoys the support of the president. She has the whole bureaucracy of DOH behind her. She has the division on the communicable disease behind her. She has all these legal people in the DOH that she probably consults with and helps in crafting decisions and resolutions. And Mr. Chairman, she has 29 years in the department, the only nominee of the president that has come from the ranks. That's all I wanted to say. I think she deserves our vote. I think she deserves our support, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Campo. Are there any other questions from the members?
Mr. Chair, sir,
Yes,
sir.
Ms. Francisco, please.
I've been receiving texts from the employees from the Zone, Visayas, and Mindanao, and yes, I can say that I represent majority of the employees of PhilHealth, and we will submit the signatures in this opposition. We have it already, and we can submit it, sir. And then we'll also submit the chronology of events that you required us on the salad, ma'am. We find it really unacceptable for the board to decide on the suspension of the salad. According to Secretary Ubial, they were tricked, so we cannot understand. It's unacceptable to us, and we know they're intelligent and highly competent individuals, so we cannot accept the reason of the board that they were tricked when they decided for the suspension of the salaries.
Mr. Chairman.
The final arbiter is the court, and the disallowances are still on appeal. Sir, PhilHealth is a top performer. You cannot hear of any corruption among the employees, and there are no complaints from the members. Before Secretary Ubial came in PhilHealth, we were happy going to the office to serve the 100 million Filipinos, but it all changed. If her being Secretary of Health will make her chair of the board of PhilHealth, then we strongly oppose her confirmation as Secretary of Health. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Francisco. Senator Sot.
If no other questions others. May I be allowed just a follow-up on the point that was brought forth by Congresswoman Josephine Sato?
With permission of Congressman Ocampo, unless she
Mr.
has...
Chair, can I finish?
I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, since there was a rejoinder from Ms. Francisco, I think she should also help us understand why there was a co-decision regarding those allowances that were granted, additional allowances granted. And then, Mr. Chairman, regarding the, I don't know what to say, the induced and not induced, the spontaneous abortion induced or by normal circumstances. Mr. Chairman, bata pa po ako. Alam ko yung procedure nung tinatawag nilang RASPA. Yan po yun yung pagka hindi natuloy, no? There are certain procedures that what is this? Not the nurse. What was it? The one that makes pangalan? The madrona? Kamadrona? Nasagot po. Sana tingnan po natin on a neutral, na meron po talagang pagkukulang tayo sa mga kanayunan o hindi po maramdaman ng mga tao yung presensya ng mga nurse or mga doktor. And that's why we have to end up using these kind of skilled people to help bring the service to those places that don't have nurses and doctors. But anyway, it seems like I'm defending the nominee, and it's clear that I am, no? So I'm gonna stop it na. And I will allow Senator Soto to continue his questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Ocampo. Senator Soto, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also on that point, tama-tama, binanggit na ni Sandy, the administrative order they sought for a legal opinion on your administrative order, Madam Secretary. Who asked for the legal opinion?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, the group of nurses and midwives, Your Honor.
Correct. The nurses and midwives did not want to go beyond their law, the law that allowed them or gave them practice. So they sought a legal opinion on the administrative order. And the legal opinion is very clear. Perhaps because of lack of time, Congresswoman Sato was not able to bring forward the legal opinion of the legal service of the Department of Health that says on the administrative order, Section B2 involves the performance of some level of post-abortion care, including two particular procedures, namely vacuum aspiration and manual vacuum aspiration by trained nurses and midwives as part of post-abortion care under the prevention or the PMAC. Okay, kaya tama yung sabi ni Secretary Ubial na dapat ay trained nurses and midwives. Pero, sabi ng number 2 ng legal opinion, VA and MBA, in yung vacuum aspiration and so forth, are generally considered as therapeutic procedure performed after a miscarriage or abortion, thus not within the ambit of nursing practice and midwifery conferred under Republic Act 9173 and 7392, yun sa midwives at saka sa mga nurses. Number 3, prescribing the practice of profession and its regulation are conferred by law and cannot be relegated to an administrative issuance. So, although it has the force and effect of a law, administrative issuances may not go beyond the provision of the law. O yung dalawang binanggit na batas. So number 4, sabi nila, so far as it prescribes the practice of nursing and midwifery beyond the definitions of Republic Act 9173 and 7392, respectively, may be rendered invalid. So ano po ang ginawa ninyo nung sinabi ng legal opinion po itong tungkol do sa administrative order nyo?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Chair, the amendment is being reviewed and for inclusion, not to include midwives and nurses. But let me say this, Your Honor, that there are a lot of practices, for example, that we do not allow nurses. But in terms of life-saving situation, like if there's a cesarean section in Batanes and there's no anesthesiologist, we allow nurses to become nurse anesthetists under the supervision of a doctor. And this manual aspiration is really life-saving in areas where abortion and its complications are happening, and there is no doctor.
Kayo na nga
Your Honor.
nagsabi, under supervision ng doctor. Wala dito sa administrative order ninyo yun. And then,
That's why it's being reviewed, Your Honor.
being reviewed, and anong nangyayari na? Yung review ninyo, itong legal opinion, was December 29, 2016. Kung mag-review kayo, buwan-buwan. Ilang buwan? In the meantime, patuloy. So what we're seeing here is a blatant disregard of law. At sabi nga ni Congresswoman Sato, disrespect of not only the President, but disrespect of Congress. Dahil meron pang mga, hindi ba, yung batas na ginawa ng Kongreso ito eh. Pero, so you know, it boggles the mind that the nominee can ignore legal advice. Di ba? And she obviously did not like the legal advice, kaya i-review pa yung advice. No, it did not even attempt for a second or clarificatory opinion. Just refused the legal opinion. Ganun ang nangyayari. So, Mr. President, I believe that this blatant disregard for the law, cavalier attitude, buti na lang, hindi PMAR, about following the rules, this high-handed arrogation of power ang nakikita natin, which I clearly see. It reveals the true character of the appointee. Nakita natin yung iba pa eh. Ang dami pa nito, pero wala na tayong oras, Mr. President. I think that with the permission of everyone, batoon na lang natin ito para matapos na. Ang haba, ang dami talaga reklamo. Aabot hanggang sa 1 taon itong reklamo. Kung babasahin natin lahat eh. Napakahaba. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Soto.
Mr. Chairman,
Congressman Alamario.
just a quick manifestation, Mr. Chairman. I've been asking around, from my district and from other places that I've been to, about their comments of Secretary Ubial. And one thing that always crops up is that Secretary Ubial lacks people skills. Hindi siya people smart, kulang siya sa pakipag listening to the people in the department. But this is outweighed by their appreciation also of the systems that Secretary Ubial has put in place. And the DOH 30 things to do, Secretary, you should know, is very much appreciated by your own people. Down to the lowest, is it the lowest? The mga barangay health stations, barangay health workers, and the management system that you have put in place, they say is very effective. The standardization of services, they appreciate that. So, throughout all these hearings, while we hear oppositions, and there are some points which we consider valid, I just would like to put that on the record that there are also a lot, and I would like to emphasize, as I said earlier, this positive comments, to my mind, outweigh the negative comments in favor of Secretary Ubial. That will be my short manifestation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Almario.
Mr. Chair, meron lang ako nakalimutan isang bagay
Senator
dun
Soto.
sa abortion pa rin. Yung binanggit ninyong 400,000 deaths, o baka ang ibig nyo sabihin 400,000 induced abortion. Because very alarming sa tao yung sabihin ninyo merong 400 deaths a year sa abortion.
Yes, I stand corrected, Your Honor. That is correct. There are 400,000 abortions, whether induced or spontaneous in this country.
So
Your
hindi
Honor,
deaths.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Soto. Thank you,
Mr.
Madam
Chair,
Secretary.
can I just give my short
Congressman.
comment? I just want to ask the Secretary a straight question, that despite of all these things, now in oppositions, are you still willing to take the risk, no, of being, confirmed or rejected? Please tell us, this committee, so that you'll, more or less, you can, you have that second opinion or say the thought of, say, accepting that's a straight question.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. I know that there are a lot of opposition and manifestations that are before you about my not being capable and able to be Secretary of Health. But, Your Honor, I stand by my commitment to the President. He appointed me as Health Secretary, and whatever happens today, I will serve at the pleasure of the President, and I thank the members of the Commission on Appointments for this opportunity given me. Much as I wanted to be confirmed to serve the country and the Filipino people, I raise my intentions to your hands for your consideration. Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. If there are no more questions for the oppositors, the Chair would like to excuse Dr. Dineros and Ms. Francisco. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for your
Mr. Chairman.
time and your patience.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And if there are no more further questions from the members of the committee for the nominee,
Mr. Chair,
Majority Leader.
I move to terminate the hearing on the ad interim appointment of Ms. Pauline Jean Roselo Bial as Secretary of the Department of Health and proceed with an executive session.
Any second? Any objection? Upon motion and duly seconded, there being no objection, the Committee on Health hereby terminates the hearing and deliberation of the ad interim appointment of Secretary Pauline Obial.
Mr. Chair, there being no matters, I move to adjourn.
Any objection? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.
The members of the commission will repair to the other room. Members of the audience, please stay seated until commission members leave the room.
Ikaw lilipat.